just don't know what really causes this phenomenon. So this has been going on for a very long time, but every time it happens, the scientists come up with a new far-fetched explanation for it. We just don't know what really causes this phenomenon. And that's what the witnesses are always describing, incredible as it is.
Welcome to Don't Turn Around, a podcast about the paranormal and the unexplained and the often profound impact these events have on our life. This is a space for amazing stories of the human experience. And if you've got a story and you're interested in sharing it, feel free to shoot me a note at dtapodcastinfo@gmail.com or on Instagram at Don't Turn Around Podcast. Thanks to the Don't Turn Around community. Without you, this show would not be possible. Thank you for sharing this show. Thank you for your ratings on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you have not yet left the show a glowing 5-star review, well, I'm going to ask you hit that pause button, swing by Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or both, and leave that review. Reviews do a tremendous job in helping get this show out to more ears. Special thanks to the Patreon community. Without your special support, we wouldn't be able to keep the lights on and keep the servers running. So if you haven't yet, hit up Patreon to look to see what membership is all about. Well, soon we will be posting all new content to Patreon, including Don't Turn Around extra features, OSI extras, short stories, short fiction, novels, music, and a whole lot more. So you get a lot of bang for your buck. Now, let's get into tonight's show. Our guest tonight is an educational video producer by day, ghost tour guide by night, and the owner of the haunted and historic Linville Manor, a location featured on Kindred Spirits, Sam and Colby, and more. He happened across the manor many years ago through an online auction, not knowing of its storied and at times tragic past. After allowing short-term rentals, it wasn't long until he and many of his overnight guests began to experience paranormal encounters. He now welcomes all to explore the home and grounds and to be respectfully curious about what lurks in Linville Manor. He was an early guest of Don't Turn Around, and I'm so happy to have him on again. Winn Brewer, welcome back to Don't Turn Around.
Thank you, Phil. And I know I was going to say, we just have had so many interactions now over the years.
Yes.
We've known each other for years now.
It's amazing. It's
hard to kind of be in that normal podcast recording interview stature because I feel like we're just so personal. But it's very good to be here. Thank you for having me back. Thank you for what you do. Your audiences, man, you're do some pats on the back. You guys, you and T both do such great stuff. So thank you for bringing me in, letting me be a part of your adventure.
Oh my gosh, of course. And thank you so much for the way that you've embraced us, that you've embraced me. I love the friendship that's developed over the years has been truly remarkable. And the fact that Linville brought us all together in just a very special way. It says a lot about the property itself.
I mean, that's what I always say is we have an open door policy. Everyone that comes in, I think that they're meant to be here. And in the long run, I've developed so many friends from an unexpected sort of space. It's not something that I predicted for my life, but I'm really glad it happened. And now I have my family, but I have other families and friends and so many circles now that I think I can owe this house to.
It's so remarkable. One thing that I think, asked you the first time I had you on the show, and I don't think has even come up in conversation because the property gives just so much to talk about. Every time we come, seems like something new has happened, either at the property or we've had new adventures that I've never asked you, as a young man growing up, did you have paranormal experiences before Linville?
Well, so the question kind of comes up in conversations, and I know like we get so much excitement when we, because we're always in the middle of something whenever we hang out. But yeah, I think that personally, my birthday just happens to fall within fairly close proximity of Halloween. So I was always very comfortable with the spooky stuff because it just always felt like that's my time of year. I recently joked, even down to my auburn hair, I think the fall is just embedded in me. And so it's not that I had a lot of paranormal happenings, but I always was curious about those locations and places. And I think even friends back in college will say, oh, yeah, like Winn was always interested in a good, ghost story. And so it's sort of maybe that predisposition that when the house came into the picture, I didn't just turn and run. I was like, tell me more, show me more. Let me invest my life in this thing. This could be really cool. And maybe there was the calling, the ghosts were just like, yeah, that guy, he's good, and he works nearby. So this can work out for him as well.
That's interesting. And it says a lot that as someone who wasn't really an experiencer, you were totally thrust right into it and you didn't turn and you didn't run. That says a lot right there.
Well, I think that you see this too in horror films that, once you sign the dotted line, it's really hard to turn and run exactly from it. This wasn't that kind of picture where it was a nightmare. And in fact, it was sort of this warm embrace from the other side. So, I feel like once you come to the house, it's sort of like, I don't know, it's hard to get away just because there's so much. It is this micro environment. I mean, regularly people stop by. I don't have to go anywhere to have social interaction. I need to. I push myself to be like, leave the house when you need to, see others. But like there's people coming and going. We have a friend that does beekeeping. We have paranormal friends that stop by. We have neighbors that come in. So, it's just like, it's a blessing every day to be here, to associate with those in the immediate circles and also those that are a little less visible, but also in that spectrum.
Was there ever a moment in the early days, aside from the renovations that were required, which I know was a special kind of terror in and of itself, but were there ever moments where there was activity that got you thinking to maybe this is not for me?
There were about 3 instances that kind of tried me. And as I've been thinking, I've been trying to remember some of these things because, as I've mentioned, I've been co-authoring on a book. And so I was trying to tap into some of those early memories. And there were 3 points where I was like, this was very exciting. And now I'm like, But then again, I think that there may be 1 to 2 spirits here that kind of are on that other side of, they're not like the typical family members, ancestors of the home. Right. And so they kind of come and go. And that's where you feel that energy. So I'll tell you the couple of times that tried me a little.
Yes.
The first time was I was still moving boxes in, no power in the house, no running water, just an empty dwelling. And I went down into the basement in a thunderstorm, as you do in the dark, around midnight.
Of course.
And I was putting some boxes. I was trying to move them around because I thought, well, if any water happens to come into the basement, maybe I should move them to a corner. So I put them in this corner, and I just felt like a very stern poke right behind my shoulder here. And in my mind, I was thinking, I don't really know the structure of this basement. There's probably like a post or a pole, and maybe I backed into a nail. That's how sharp it felt.
Wow.
But then as I spun around, the post that's in there is like 8 feet back. So I was like, and then there was just this heaviness in the air. And I was like, well, time to go tonight until tomorrow when I can move a little bit more in here. And then there's light and there's not a storm. And I probably, knowing me, had my cell phone battery at like 2%. So that's
right, of course.
You don't want to be in that space. Literally now I'll go down to the basement and do laundry. It's cool. But in that moment, I'm like, the other time is just, I was in this very room and, literally nothing in here except for like one chair. And late at night around 1:11, around 1 a.m, it would you would start to kind of hear things. I would hear sort of unexplained crashes. I would sense something kind of in the back doorway here where the ballroom is. And sometimes it even sounded like I could vaguely somewhere, and I think you guys have picked up on some of this, like you hear like it's like a TV going, but it's really like voices.
Yeah.
And it just sounded like two men like in a heated argument or something. And I think like, there's number 2 that I'm like, something's going on here. Number 3, I always say is perhaps it was from heat, illness, delirium, because I was trying to push mow basically a meadow in August, July. And I was here in the backyard and I just kind of caught this glimpse of what I call the burlap man.
Okay. You haven't told me about this.
I know.
I don't know about the burlap man.
When you come, like you just get, there's so many things that it's like, there's one-off things that happen and I don't typically bring them up in tours or interviews because it's like, well, it didn't happen again. So I don't know. And it hasn't happened to guests. So I kind of like to tell guest stories more than my own because to me, it seems more credible. And it's not just like, like, dude, like you're in a haunted house, you're making stuff up. I'm like, no, let me give other people's credit. I'm not trying to say something here. So, I was in the heat push mowing and then it just like my eye for an ounce of just a blip. I see what I thought was maybe somebody had walked up in the yard and they were, as best I can describe it, walking almost like Jack Skellington, like this very long, slow, gangly walk. And I just saw this vision. And then the man, burlap hat, jacket, trousers, just full burlap. And then it was just gone. And it's just something that stuck with me. And to this day, I'm like, was this one of the entities that we've all experienced later on that people have reported about? Or is this someone different? Was this a greeting? Was this a warning? Was this someone saying you're an idiot for push mowing?
Why are you out here?
3 foot high I know the spirits were like, you will join us soon. Don't worry, man. So I don't know, but those stories don't always come up just because the guest experiences kind of always trump them. But there you go.
And in those moments, so let's go back to the first one with the poke. What was going on in your mind after you left? So were you staying at the property yet, or were you staying elsewhere at that time?
So this was there was like a 3-week period where I was boxing up the stuff in my junior bedroom apartment. So didn't have a lot. And then anything I could find on Facebook Marketplace, or at the time Craigslist was still a place to go for furniture. So I would find this stuff and then I would bring it whenever I could, because as always, I'm working a full-time job on the side of all of this. And then that's the reason I was trying to move to this area, is I was literally driving almost an hour each way. So I was just outside of the Bethesda, Maryland area. So Friendship Heights, if you know Friendship Heights, go to Willoughby. So I was making that drive and I was just getting over here when I could, but it was within that 3 weeks that I experienced that incident in the basement. When I was going back in my head, a little like apprehensive, but then tapping back into my world. Well, I'm curious. I mean, and at the time I didn't even know any of the history of the house. I was told, okay, you've got 1850s. I didn't know the rest of the story. I didn't know there was a even older home that had burned on site. I did not know what I was getting into. So it was that mix between excitement and nervous. In the moment, of course, I was highly terrified. And
Yes.
still, if I was in here in the dark, which sometimes we have storms,
Yeah.
I get that vibe sometimes.
Yeah.
You don't want to be alone.
No.
Because normally it's like this bright, cheery, about to have dinner. Everything's cool. We got Phil and the friends coming over. But when you get off alone, you're like, I'm not alone. So yeah, that's when that occurred. But again, early days, I couldn't change my mind. It was happening no matter what repair had to be done or ghost I had to face.
Yeah.
Linville Manor was about to become what it would be.
It was all happening. And I think that's interesting too, that this is real life. You can't just pack up like they do in the movies and just walk away.
Yeah.
No matter how intense it gets, real life is complicated. There's paperwork, there's large amounts of money involved. There's finding other places to live, and it's real life. Real life.
People are sometimes shocked because sometimes I get people thinking that like this was an inherited situation. They're like, oh, like, wow, it must be nice that I'm like, this wasn't in my family. This wasn't in the cards. This just happened. Like they don't realize there was within that period of time just eating peanut butter. Cause I'm like, I literally pulled all the change in my car to make the final deposit on the house and max 2 credit cards because I didn't realize that after you got the sale, you had the closing costs. So
yeah,
it was a situation.
It was a situation. Now, when you felt that poke, was your first thought after you saw the post was far away? Does your mind immediately go to ghost, or are you still trying to it went right to ghost?
I was like, ghost poke. That is ghost. 100%. There was no rationalizing it because the rationalization happened in the instance of turning. And then once that's done, there's nothing else. I'm standing there amidst all sorts of space in the dark.
Yeah.
In an ancient basement, in a tomb.
Yeah.
I'm standing in a tomb.
This is pre-Tiki days where, it was a spooky basement before you did the work down there. It really was.
I know. I have to show you the pictures of the original. I mean, I think you saw some of the early days.
Yeah, because when we came, I think it was April of 2021, maybe. So you hadn't really started any work down there, and the big filing cabinet was still down there, and there was nothing else, and it was dark, and it was intense. You felt that intensity down there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's because, like, one of those more prickly entities, you think that's their domain down there?
So, all the thoughts that are in my head, how do I pick the one to explain it? I think at the time you had more of the feeling because let's just say there were more places to hide. I think the one that has domain prefers to be in the shadows at times and throughout, the adventure here, the saga. He has sort of been termed as the lurker.
Yeah.
Actually, again, the book that I've been working on is a really important turning point to the ghosts that are here because that was the investigation where it was led by psychics. And they actually were able to not only say, yeah, somebody's down here, but just know, like, this is the gift of true psychics is they tell you things and then you're like, you're standing there like, how, like, I couldn't even put all these pieces together like that. Yeah. Of course. So I think that back in those days, that was sort of the nest, like a really dark space. You could, he could kind of move freely, do his thing. And then as the house became more and more developed, there were fewer places to hide. And so, of course, like people are going to have more instances, more extreme instances, because especially like if you're in someone's territory and you don't know anything about them and you keep showing up in their space, they're going to be more agitated. So I see how that progression of energy happened. And then at the breaking point of the speakeasy, tiki bar, tiki, that's when the renovation caused some issues with the ground foundation. I mean, it didn't disrupt the foundation of the home, but it scooped into the concrete. And that at that point, that's the breaking point where it was there. And then that releases more energy, allows more of this tapping into the early foundations.
Right.
So I think that that's where it was like a tilt in the energy of the house. The energy of the house is always welcoming and family, and you just feel like you're in this vibe.
Yeah.
But at that point, there was just negative emotion. People felt fearful. Footsteps footsteps were back and forth from the basement. People would pick up like heavy breathing down there. So like that's the point where I'm like, like, you know, it goes back, it reverts to those initial emotions of like real fear instead of just like, wow, like this is interesting.
And I think I remember in that time frame, Tina was doing something like near the doorway of the basement, and she heard the sound of someone running up the stairs, and the door just flew open, like banged open, and that was a whoa kind of moment for her.
That was, and it's sort of like it was like this build because you guys were kind of like sort of concluding your stay, and we'd have a couple of conversations and chatted, but then like slowly but surely there was some gear set out and it started flickering. We're like, something's happening. And then, Tina doing her investigation, her photography, doing her thing. It's just sort of like she was in the right place at the wrong time because I think she described it like, I think I scared someone because it is like that. I don't know if they like were at the door and then they ran down, or they like ran up the basement door and it just popped open. But
because I think she was planning to go down there to take some photos.
Okay.
And then it all happened. And then, of course, I don't think she went down and took any photos.
So I don't know. I wonder if the entity was like listening in on us, or just caught off guard and didn't expect someone, because they thought that we were all in the dining room.
Right.
And Tina's just like, hey, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Right. Like, I'm out. Yeah.
So when you felt this, well, first I have to ask, how did it come to be that you had psychics come over? Was this I want answers, so I'm going to find some psychics and have them come over? What was that? What was that process like?
Right. And I've had to like put the order of events because so many things happen here. I mean, in the past month, we've literally had like a full-length feature horror film filmed in the house. We've had multiple, like this was interesting. And of course, the spirits were a little unhappy about some of the gear being piled in rooms and things. That stirred some stuff up. Anyway, so there's always something happening. But anyway, did you see the flicker? Like there was a significant flicker behind me.
Yeah, there was.
The production company is not coming back.
It's
guys.
just me. It's just
Phil tonight. We're good. So anyway, the whole ramp up of energy that was happening again. Like I was starting to kind of develop the basement, clean it out, get it ready.
Yeah.
We were having that kind of like negative vibe start. That's when I asked somebody to move out the old boiler that was in there. It scooped out the chunk and we started having negative energy. The first step was I had gotten in touch because my friends, kindred spirits, Adam Barry's brother and I went to college together.
That's right.
And so happenstance, this is all around the same time, his brother actually had moved to the area and was like, hey, Winn, like my family and I just moved to the area. We're trying to find housing in DC, but we just need a few days to stay somewhere. Like, we know you've got some space. Can we come stay? Of course. Like, yeah, come on, man. They came, they had a great several days, but he was like, dude, like your house is haunted. Like, my brother, he literally is like, my brother does this professionally, like can help you. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And he's like, listen, just send all the information you have on what's going on. and we'll forward it to him. And you know, like he and Amy are amazing. And I was like, let's try, because I don't know.
But I'm gonna pause you there too. So what do you think the hesitation was?
For me?
Yeah, for you, where you were like, I'm not sure,
Well,
I want to go down this road.
To be honest, I wasn't very familiar with kindred spirits. I wasn't familiar with like how a production crew, like, you know, I hadn't had film crews in the house and things. So, and it was a lot like the house too. I feel like it was still like getting developed. So it was like a personal thing. It's like you want someone to come and know what's going on, but one, you want to make sure it's a credible person. Two, you don't want to look crazy on national television. So it's like, it's a mix too. Like, you know, and we just were a part of something that happened here. And like, you know, like there's a lot kind of going into it. It's like, oh, like, how do I dress? How do I do that? And so that was sort of the thing, is like, I was kind of worried about like that intrusion from the outside world too. And like something that I'm still trying to figure out. Plus now we do have a ghost situation. So like, what's the balance? But like, thankfully, it was wonderful. Like Amy and Adam are legitimately there for the right reasons. They both have a deep background. You know, like I do feel like there are groups out there that just may be there for the excitement of it. I don't really know, but they weren't. So, okay, step one was, this is going to happen. They're going to be here within a month, and we're going to see what's going on, you know? In their episode, there was a lot said about working with ghosts and intention in the home, but they could not conclusively get any written evidence as to like what the disturbance could be, who he could be. You know, was the lurker this escaped prisoner? Like, we don't know. We can't prove that there was a murder here, but you know, there's some vaguity. So they could do their best, which was to try to communicate with those spirits, to try to like balance some energy going on in the home, and then also give me some preparation, like pep talk, like, this is what you got to do. This is what you're working with. Congratulations, you moved into an extremely haunted home. Congratulations, you're willing to work with that. But, you know, there's the balance. There's rules and regulations. There's intent. With any good relationship, there's boundaries. So you have to say, this is what's happening here. You know, I respect you. Please respect me. And it worked. Like, that really was very settling. The only thing is, there still weren't the answers that I feel like were needed to help that spirit calm down a bit, because he was still appearing in the green bedroom quite a bit to females. Still a lot of noises, still some negativity in the house. And I was working with what I had as to being like, this is you know, these are spaces. There are going to be people here regularly. This is the flow of the home now. But even in the episode, you could tell that spirit would he messed up some of their gear. Like, he wasn't forthcoming with anything. So there was still something kind of like out there going on. Well, it kind of came to the head when that further renovation was going in the basement. And so at that point, I was like, is there anyone in the immediate area that's not attached to a show or something, that's just like someone who works with this? And then the IGT group, and I don't want to like say their acronym incorrectly, but I know Ghost Trackers. Trackers, Maryland Ghost Trackers. They were sort of that base of a paranormal investigation. And through that group, Rob Guttrow and Troy Klein are two psychics that actually work directly with that team, and would go location to location. And I mean, they would get serious calls, like, there are things happening in these homes that are affecting the tenants, that people are considering moving out. You know, like, they would be those intermediaries to come in and help to let spirits move on, to make those communications to them and offer, like, hey, like, we recognize you. We will give you the energy you need to go on if you choose, to just give that sort of touch insight to the things that maybe history can't tell. to like who's there, what's happening.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I communicated with them. I said, you know, let's give it a shot. They weren't even there to like put things on YouTube or anything. Like, so like for me, it's like, okay, like if I don't know how this is going to go, it kind of, that's fine. It stops there. But they came again. They were a group that did not want history of the house. They didn't want to actually even meet me until they'd walked the grounds and gotten a feel on things. And even leading up to the visit, they'd had some dreams and visions about spirits that, in fact, you guys have also met. So that they had sort of the foresight of who might be here. And it was walking around that they picked up on some of the ones that are a little bit more known, a couple of others that aren't very much mentioned, but they're still around, especially in the ground. And then they did one successful crossing over. And then with the basement spirit, when they went down, it was like this identification of what had happened to him, why he did not want to leave, why he was not crossing over. And these pieces started to like, you know, stack up. It was like, okay, it makes sense. Like, this is why this guy is being a little bit more hard to deal with, why he doesn't want to listen, why he doesn't want to, you know, respect boundaries.
Right.
But I didn't have the means to like understand the story. You know, even when regular investigations are happening, you get a sentence, maybe a word, and you don't know what even to ask. And so as many groups had come, I didn't have all the pieces. And this team, they were working on a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they just knowing the story, respecting that story, giving the spirit space. That was a big thing that was an ask, like, hey, where can this ghost be in the home that's just like his space? And you tell people like, that's his space. This is the story. This is why this, you know, his life mattered. We're trying to honor him. This is why he doesn't want to leave. So just like let him have somewhere.
Yeah.
And it really, I mean, that was the breaking point where we got back in from that kind of what's going on, negative vibe, the walk the steps, the crashes, back to sort of a balance where I believe, you know, he's one that people can interact with. And it is sort of like acknowledge that you know his story. We've even had a guest that came. She had visual impairment, and she goes into the green bedroom, and she said, "Oh, I sense that he's here." And she said that she literally talked to the guy. She was like, "Man, Jeremiah, I know your story, but I'm going to tell you, like, I have a story of my own, and I need a helper." And then she's like, "Can you help me while I'm visiting the house?" And in fact, like, we would say, "Hey, do you need some help?" As you're like going down the hall or going down the stairs, she's like, "My helper is here with me." And she had no problems. And I believe that he appreciated like being given a role, a task in someone's life. Again, like it's interesting things. We're getting into a very deep talk here about
I love it though.
the ghosts and the happenings. But I think that was sort of the shift. And then before I lose the thought in my mind, like I do feel like there's the lurker. I also feel like there's another ghost that I kind of refer to as the mischievous one.
Yep.
I think that he sometimes gets misinterpreted as the lurker.
Yeah.
I think the mischievous ones, several teams have come and they've had like a sound over here and they'll go over there and then there'll be a sound back here and they'll go check on that. And they'll hear this and like they go all over. And this has happened multiple times to groups that have like features out there, but also groups that haven't posted them. And I've witnessed it. Like, I think that's the beauty is I'm a witness to all the stories. So like I'm like, oh, like that happened. That it's the same. Whether or not the groups will ever know or ask me, I'm like, oh, like that's worth noting. You know, that name has come up every time. That room, that sound, that song. And you'll appreciate this. There was a group that came 3 weeks ago and I had left. When I left, you know, nothing was on. They came in, I'd left them the key. And there was one speaker playing on the Alexa in here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, that can happen. Like, it could happen.
Oh, yeah.
It could come on. But maybe one of them said Alexa or something and it came on. But here's the crazy thing. I get back and they're very excited. They're like, the speaker's on, but it's playing a song over and over and over. And I'm like, well, that's unique because I can't even get it to repeat. Usually I'm like, play that song again. It's like, you don't have the subscription. I'm like, come on, like, what's going on? It was playing on repeat, but they had turned it down like you couldn't even hear it when you walked in the room. So I come in the room. They're like, listen, they turn it back up. It's playing the same song, which was an Ella Fitzgerald song. And we ask what year it was popularized, what year it came out. And it was like 1952. Which I'm pretty sure is right around when the Johnsons came to the house. And as soon as we had like checked off and I said like, maybe it's the Johnsons like saying hello, it went to the next song. And then the next song was, we asked who was singing that song. And it just so happened that singer had the same last name as the woman who was staying at the house. And she's like, that's my last name. And that song was from like 1962, which is when the Johnsons were leaving. So it was like, it was such an interesting that there was that time frame. And I'm like, yeah, there's just no way that this is just some coincidence.
No. And I'll say too, you are, as you've described, in this very special and unique position of bearing witness to all of this over a span of time. What was that?
You did that.
No, something just happened.
There's like creepy music playing. Is it you? Are you doing
It's not me. This is not me. Yeah, and your audio got very funky too.
That was crazy.
What was that?
Did you hear any of that?
I just heard static is all I heard, and you sounded very far away. What was that?
Phil, like, I wish I'd just recorded on my phone or something. You should have heard it. So, okay, I have tabs.
My hair is standing up on end, by the way.
Y'all, if you're listening, we're talking about the sounds. And okay, so I'm a person that has a bunch of tabs up on my computer, right? Yeah. We didn't do I didn't touch it. My hands were not touching anything. We both were messing around. I can't wait to see the footage because we're both going to be like, what? It, on my end, I don't know what show it just started replaying, but it was like the violins, like dum, dum,
yeah,
dum,
like the
like
staccato,
spooky staccato and piano music playing like a theme song for a show, like something really creepy, and it was just the instrumental. There was no voices talking, no, just that, and I thought you had like cued it because you were just like, I didn't know if this was like a new show effect that you were trying out, because I'm like, am I supposed to like be like, he's putting in a scary song now because we had music playing in the house? But that's crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
All right, guys. Thank you for acknowledging during this podcast.
Yes, that's a first. I'm glad
you recorded a visual.
I've got our reaction. Yeah, that'll be going straight to social media.
What? Well, there you go. End of the podcast.
There you go. That's a mic drop right there.
Holy bajoli.
But I'm not letting you get away that easy.
No, you're good, man. I'm just like, there you go. See, cool, calm, and collective again. Right back to it. Like, don't worry.
To it. I mean, that's
somebody's here.
Yeah, life with the paranormal, right? Living with the paranormal. And you mentioned, and I think this is a good segue. So you've been there for quite a few years now. You bear witness to all these things that happen to the groups, all these things that happen to yourself in between when groups being there. And now you told me that you are or have written a book. Can you share a little bit about this book experience?
Yes, I can act. Here's the proof
And
copy. Right
there's
there
the
you
proof,
go.
and it's gorgeous.
Thank you. So this is Ghosts of Linville Manor investigating Maryland's most haunted house. And I feel like our conversation really, gave some nice notes to what the book is about. It gives, for people who don't know anything about the house, a general understanding of the history, why I'm here, how I came to be here. And then it really taps into that investigation specifically, which was an important investigation because, again, there was a lot of confusion in the house about some spirits that just didn't feel connected to the rest of the energy. It wasn't that at-home feeling.
Right.
And Rob Guttrow is an author. He's more known, I think, as being a pet medium. He's a pet psychic. But again,
Adorable.
I lucked up. There's a lot of luck and just happenstance things here, because he and Troy Klein, again, as of a few years ago, they worked within 30 minutes here of the house in the greater DC area.
Yeah.
So like they were here. So it wasn't like this big to do or like convincing someone to come. It's just like they were here and more than happy to do it. I mean, like I've never, come across folks where they're just like, sure, like we'll show up. And like, I mean, you guys, like, I know you would be like, we're there. Don't worry. We got you. Like still, I text you guys. I'm like, is this so like, this is happening? How do I, and you guys got my back.
Always.
So it was just really nice that it all came together the way it did. And I do feel like a lot of credit is due because, places can have supernatural happenings and you just leave it at that. Like, well, you don't know, like it's haunted. But this was really interesting because not knowing the history of the house, they were able to come and pinpoint on the nose specifics about different individuals who lived here, and then give voice to them. And I think that voice, which we all are trying to put the pieces together because we're like, okay, if something's here, like why? Yeah. Why is it here? Why is there a message? Like, help us help you.
Yeah.
And I think that they were just the right ones to especially help the lurker, the spirit in the basement. Again, they say they picked up on the name Aloysius. I've also picked up on the name Jeremiah in the book. They make an interesting point. Rob makes a very unique point because when we were going over talking about, okay, like how do we want to present this? I said, well, one thing that I don't know how we would bridge it, but like every time that I'm with groups or my person, like I've just picked up on this name. I was like, I get Jeremiah. And that day that you guys investigated, you got Aloysius. And so like, what's going on there? And Rob said, actually, it's kind of common that ghosts, they don't know you. They don't feel like they necessarily owe you like to give away their name or to tell you everything about them when they first interact with you, or if they're trying to keep to their own and not even be with you in your space, and then you continue to like modify or adjust the house or work on it, like you're always there, not trying to be annoying, you're just in their way. So like they may not want to be so chumsy with you. So they said that ghosts can give a fake name. They can present names that are not their own just because they're like, we're not willing to like tell you who we are. The other thing that's really, it's a stretch, but it's really unique. Again, a lot of things kind of happen and I'm like, that's curious. That's worth talking about. In my new position, at work, I was talking about some of the things that have happened at the house, specifically how in the 1980s we have this potential murder of a prisoner that had escaped and gotten into the home. And I was like, we don't know who that is. I still feel like that could be the mischievous energy that's here. And my coworker, she said, well, you should talk to this police officer, Aloisi. And I was like, Aloisi? And she said, yeah, like he used to work in this area around the 80s. And I just, like, my brain was like, okay, they got Aloysius. I got an Aloisi over here. Very similar.
Very similar, very unique names.
Very.
Right.
I'm like, I've never even heard of that. And so, I was talking to the psychic Rob about that, and he just said, it's okay. Think about it. Like, okay, that could be a name that the ghost would pick up on, because he's sort of right below in the basement. If this happened right above, and he's hearing the names of the various people in that investigation, however, like that Aloisi name could have come up, and he's like, that's a great name to use. I'll use that.
I'll use that name.
So I don't know, but I think that there's things like that I think that this book is really interesting. And I was really happy to co-author with Rob, because I've never written a book. And it came up that I asked him about something different. And I just said, hey, I've wanted to compile some of this stuff. I know you're an author. Would you be willing? Do you have time? Because he's also really busy.
Yeah.
Do you have time sometime this year to work on this? And very gracious. Like, he's like, oh, absolutely. Like, you write a couple of chapters, I'll write a few things, and we'll see what we can combine. And through the powers of Google and Google Docs, we managed to work it out. So, I'm excited about it. I'm excited that, again, it's just, there's special things. Like, I was really happy to include like a picture of my nieces cutting the ribbon here, to be like, you can tell these stories, but it is kind of nice to have one place that I know it's going to go on a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point. It goes on, right? And that's what's beautiful. I mean, it's one of the beautiful things about Linville is it is a place of stories, and it's a place for stories to be told and shared, and for these stories to live on. So it only makes sense that you engaged in this project. And what was it like for you to revisit some of these memories in writing the book, and kind of having that broader view of the experiences there? What was that like for you?
It's actually amazing, because there are so many activities that happen here on a regular week. And so I'm doing my normal person job, coordinating like people that want to come and visit on weekends, have events, mowing the yard, just doing life. Life is happening every day, cooking dinner, doing normal things. And so like little bitty pieces of information just seem to get lost. And it's like I always say, whenever like I go all sorts of places and take pictures, and I don't take time to like review and look at what's in the picture and appreciate that moment, because we're all just in hyperdrive in this world. Like, I swear, like I have this theory that we developed a life in COVID times that was sort of like that balance. And now we've come into like the post-COVID times, and we're living that too. And now we're living these two lives simultaneously. And mentally, we're like, I don't know about you, but I feel like my years are just like going so quick.
Yeah, they really are.
It's nuts, right?
It's nuts.
So this was great. Because there were even pieces of their investigation. I mean, they took the time to like document all the things that happened when they came. And, I had remembered like the bigger chunks of when they were here, and like those big names. But then there were some things that I was like, oh, wow, like I don't even remember that they had that experience, or like that they shared that. And then other things sort of clicked into place. And also just for me, like, really spending the time and thinking about the individuals, because it's not just my experiences, but the Brewe family, the Johnsons, and trying to like make sure that everything that was being said in the book is accurate to like their lives and their times. But then it's cool because like little tidbits, even so, Calvin Johnson, he in the 1950s came, and he sort of had the reimagination of this home, right? And a lot of that imagination, I came to find out, came from the fact that when he was a kid walking to school in Kentucky, that he always would look up at this house that had these big white columns. Yeah. And this old man would sit there and just kind of like give a like wave and a nod. And he was so touched by that moment that was the thing that he wanted to recreate, is like this house that just like felt like an embrace whenever you saw it, a kind wave. And so it's like I love writing endeavors. I feel like you have to slow down to write
Yes,
well. You're
for
not
sure.
gonna chat GPT
No, can't.
anything that's gonna be human.
Yeah,
I
for
hope
sure.
that's not the future, that it's all
Gosh, I hope not.
AI, because
I hope not.
we need to kind of go back into our minds. And I
Yeah,
think it's just very humanistic to like reflect and write and ponder, and be present in memories.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. It's about being present in those memories, being present in those moments that become the stories, right? We're living these stories in every moment, and to be fully present is to really be able to experience that gratitude for having these moments.
Like right
Yeah,
now, like this is special. Like
it
my
is.
friend Phil invited me to come be on this amazing podcast. Like it's special. It really is. Like I was visiting friends in San Francisco. Like my friend had a new baby, and last week I was just sitting in like her parents' kitchen, and we're just there and the new baby, and I was just like, I know it's weird. I feel like you're supposed to just like be there, but I was like, I just want to say out loud, like this is special. Like
Yeah.
I don't feel like we have enough human interactions and true
No.
friends out there. And
Yeah.
so like I'm grateful. Like I'm grateful for you, Phil, and everybody. Like you
Yeah.
guys are just, I don't know, it's nice. It
It
really
is
is.
really nice. It is really nice. And I can't believe we've been at this for almost an hour, and that says a lot right there. It's just the comfort of a good discussion. And as we are winding down, I'm going to say it again, but I just want to thank you for being part of this show and being part of my life. You've certainly have made my life more fuller and have just broadened my perspective on friendship and storytelling and community. And so I'm grateful for that.
Oh, I hope everybody's feeling the love. This is
I
so
hope so.
nice.
It
Yeah,
is.
right. Anything, man. Like I appreciate you. No, thank you for doing the same. And like, no, like I mean, mi casa es su casa,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
Always, for real.
Now, I do have to ask, because Piper will murder me if I don't ask. I want to ask about the Sam and Colby experience. How was that?
Actually, really great. So
Yeah.
so this is the fun thing, right? Like maybe I'm a little old. I don't know. I feel like I'm still young, but like I don't know the reach of all of these influencers. So like Sophie Dossi
Yes.
came as well. And like, when I'm sharing this with my family, my nieces are cheerleaders, and they were like, whoa.
Yeah.
So Sophie came to your house, and I'm like, yeah. They're like, where's the autograph? Where's the something?
Yeah.
But they were great. They were very respectful. I was able to interact with them and tour them around the home, share some of the ghost experiences that guests have had. And actually a lot of the things, because I've watched back, and I think that, it has been sort of noted, like, maybe when they go to places, if they had a little bit more research, they would realize some of the things that they're actually credibly picking up on. Because I just feel like they have the gear. They have been to all these places, so they carry a lot of energy with them.
They do.
They've definitely been all around the world to some haunted spaces. So,
yeah, for sure.
It kind of collects. If you don't dust it off, there's some stuff.
Yeah.
Following.
You got to do the maintenance.
Yeah. So I just feel like that they picked up on quite a bit. There was some mention about outside and King, and I think that maybe someone was trying to get them to go out front. There's an Elvis statue that's out there, and I'm like, and they ran to the front porch, but I think it was like, come further out into the yard. I don't know. Then upstairs, they got Thomas, I believe, in one of their readings, and that actually was in the Bowie Cemetery, one of the children that passed away. So recently, we've been wondering if there may be multiple children on the ground still. So it was just really interesting. I think that they expressed that they felt like that homey vibe here. That they felt at home. They felt very comfortable. So, of course, it wasn't like one of the scariest experiences they've ever had,
Right.
but it was very active. And I think that it was Sophie's first paranormal investigation. And I think like she really, like, it was a nice, and this is what we say, you know, like when people come for the first time and they don't really know what they're getting into, it's a great space for that, because it's not like a dark prison with those really intense energies. It's a home, and a lot of the spirits here, the ghosts here, make you feel like you're in their home. Like this is a pretty prestigious home of Maryland. So overall, I thought it was a great interaction. I think they had really good experiences here. I'm curious to see if they will come back. And then again, like too, with like some of the music things that they were experiencing, because T even was like, you know, like what was going on with that? And I said, you know, honestly, I left. And when I left, that was all off. And the fact that they were sort of confused, sort of like a minute ago with us, like what's happening? It's just very real. And so again, there are some circumstances where you're like, well, like we have to believe them on this, and you never want to be there. You want to have that hard evidence. But again, I think they were having a lot of things occur. And this year, with all the people and production and things that have been happening here, there's some unique stuff that's been going on. So again, like maybe book 2, I can document that. But
certainly fodder for a future discussion for us as well, because I do love having you on the show. So
did that answer your question?
Yes, that absolutely answered my question.
Like talking about
that absolutely answered my question. So before we wrap up, can you let my listeners know where they can find out more about Linville, how they can get the book when it comes out? Let's hear those details.
Yeah. So if you want to know more about Linville Manor, at this point, you can probably just Google Linville Manor, and a lot of stuff's going to come up, especially from OSI and from Phil and T. But really, you know, look us up, linvillemanor.com. Run socials, so Facebook, Instagram, a little on TikTok, but it's more of like a home project kind of space. And then, just feel free to directly email me. I'll get back in touch with you if you want to arrange to come out at a private stay. Also, Airbnb, if you're looking for hosting a very unique event, please reach out. We can schedule that through there. And as far as the book, of course, we're looking to release it in October. So I will be posting on the website, on the socials about that. But get it on Amazon, and you can get the Kindle, or you can also get the audio version as well.
Winn, thank you so very much for joining me tonight. This has been such a beautiful discussion, and I can't wait to get back up to Linville, and I hope to do that sometime soon.
It is always a pleasure to talk to you, Phil. Again, like, I don't know, you just feel like a long lost best friend. Absolutely. And so thank you for having me. And you got to come soon. I feel like the house wants you to. I feel like you guys are prepping for it. And
I've been feeling the call. I've been feeling the pull lately. So sooner rather than later, I think you'll be seeing us come up there.
Well, great. You guys have been to some really interesting places lately. So
yeah, we have a lot to catch up on outside the outside the airwaves of the podcast, for sure.
Yeah, I've tried to keep up, but like it's been crazy. So I can't wait to dive in.
For sure. Well, thanks again, Winn. Great discussion, and I appreciate you.
All right, Phil. Well, take care and don't turn around, right?
That's right. And to you, the listeners, the ears that make this show possible, thank you so much for joining us for this discussion. If you think you have anyone that would benefit and enjoy hearing this conversation, please share the episode. Don't forget to leave those reviews on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Help us get the word out. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Don't Turn Around Podcast. And we'll catch you next time.
We just don't know what really causes this phenomenon. It's been going on for a very long time, but every time it happens, the scientists come up with a new quasi-scientific explanation for it. We just don't know what really causes this phenomenon. And that's what the witnesses are always describing, incredible as it is.
Great, I'm in.